Hello, welcome to I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We're headed south of Vegas toward Yuma. We're not going to make Yuma today in this travelogue, but we're going to stop by. And what did you think of that photograph of that girl with the tattoos on her chin? We'll hear about that story of Olive Oatman and an Indian massacre that occurred. And so hang on there and join us, and let's go visit. And we're going to stop in and see Route 66 for a few minutes as well. Okay, we're on the Highway 95 south of Vegas, following the Colorado River south toward Yuma and the Mexican border. Places we'll visit are along the highway and river, but some needed a drive for a few kilometers off Highway 95. Just south of Vegas, we spotted this huge solar farm. The glass reflectors looked like a lake in the distance. The United States has made great advances in solar energy, being amongst the top 4 in the world, although China accounts for 1/3 of the world's total solar energy. The U.S. is almost at 2%. Canada, in contrast, is just over 0.5%. Actual production of kilowatt hours is much greater in the U.S. 2% of a huge economy is much more than 0.5% of a small economy. Just south of Vegas in this area, we drove a few kilometers over to the river. The Colorado River area is by no means a flat country. It's actually pretty rough mountainous country right in here. Right in this area, a flash flood a few years ago destroyed a community, claiming several lives. We came across one of the many abandoned mining towns that you can find throughout Nevada and Arizona. Once you start looking for these abandoned mining towns, it really becomes evident to you that this country, the early part of it in pioneer days, was really opened up by miners and single mining guys first finding a big mother lode or a small mother lode somewhere and bringing people into the area. Oatman is a small, former and almost abandoned mining town a little ways off the highway. It's named after the Oatman family, and in particular, one of the daughters, Olive Oatman. Her parents and several siblings were murdered in a vicious Indian attack on their family wagon train. The massacre occurred not nearby, but south of Phoenix, near a place called Maricopa Wells. But the town here was named in their honor. I'll tell you the rest of this story later in the travelogue, but let's go to Oatman now and see what the tourists see. Here we are, stopped before we even get into town. Not even a chance yet to buy a bag of carrots to feed these hungry descendants of old mining days. Undoubtedly, the donkeys are the most popular act in town. One time we were there and the boys seemed to get into a little squabble over the carrots. Pretty soon it became an all-out kicking and biting fight. The loser turned and ran, with the other chasing at full run down the street. Tourists scattered everywhere. My wife stood in the middle of the street looking at some building. I yelled, "Look out!" She stepped aside and they galloped by. Getting hit by those carrot racehorses could put you in the hospital even before you woke up. Back to that Oatman massacre. You can see the Oatman Hotel sign down the street here. 14-year-old Olive Oatman witnessed the murder of her parents and brothers and sisters while lying under an overturned wagon. Her brother hid and went for help later. Meanwhile, Olive and her younger sister were taken captive and lived with the Indians for a year before being traded to another Indian group the Mojave people, for 2 horses and some vegetables, blankets, and beads. Her younger sister later died, but Olive lived 4 years with her new family. This is the main street of Oatman, but getting back to the story, one day an army patrol rode by and noticed this white-looking girl. Questions were raised and reports written. Now the white people demanded this girl be returned to the white man's world. A deal was eventually struck. Olive left with her new protectors, I guess, and eventually reunited with her lone surviving brother. A number of years later, Olive's good friend said that Olive suffered initial depression because she had to leave her 2 children, 2 boys, behind, and then go live back in the white man's world. Olive's fame arose amongst the white community because of her story and the facial tattoos she had been given. Tattooing was a common practice amongst the Mojave people, and she was treated like an adopted child by the chief's wife and daughter. Often asked until her dying day if she had ever been physically or sexually abused by her captors, and Olive consistently and emphatically denied anything of the sort. She later married, had an adopted child of her own, got involved in charity work, and lived to age 66 until she died in 1903. There is no doubt Olive Oatman was a survivor. She survived witnessing the brutal murders of her brothers, sisters, and parents. She survived by adapting to those who had killed them. She survived the selling, in effect, into continued slavery, and when she was sold to the new Mojave Indian people. All credit to the Mojave chief's wife and daughter, who accepted her and befriended her in her new surroundings. She then survived some kind of a marriage relationship with a Mojave man. She survived the birth of 2 sons. She survived the U.S. Army taking her back into her new white world and making adjustments there. Well, there you go. All is well that ends well. Back amongst her white people, could it be better? Could it be a better ending to her story? Maybe. Maybe not. We're looking here at some of the many things you can buy in the tourist shops, antique shops in the town. But I'm still wondering, why would Olive Oatman have been willing to leave her 2 baby sons? To survive, no doubt, I guess. Maybe to survive and escape from the Mojave Indians. Or was it to save the Mojave Indians instead, as well as her 2 sons? The army had threatened to annihilate the Mojave if she were not released right away. At first, the Mojave refused to give her up, but under continued threat for their own survival, they finally made the deal. So, what do you think? Is Olive Oatman a hero because she survived her Indian experience? Or is she a hero because she sacrificed leaving her children so they and their Mojave caregivers could survive the threatened pending annihilation by the U.S. Army? Well, we will never know, but 3 things we will know. 1, Olive Oatman was a survivor. 2nd, there is more than one way to look at this situation. And 3, we'll never know the real answer. We finished up with Oatman and hit the trail again. Route 66 runs by Oatman, so we drove it a while. It was a lot like driving down a trail of yesteryear. It was the first well-used route across the country and got a lot of publicity over the years. The things that you see along the route takes you back to the days when the modern foundation of the USA was really built. I've often said that if you want to go across America and miss it, just take the interstate all the time. The real story of the country is on secondary roads like Route 66. All right, we're not going to stay on the Route 66 for very long. We headed back toward the Highway 95, I think it is. I get mixed up with 95 and 93. But we're headed to Yuma, but we're not there yet. So hit the subscribe button, and we'll let you know when we're putting on more travelogues as we head south.